Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for standing with this channel. I don't take that support for granted. Ladies and gentlemen, I like the fact that Kenyans have come out in their large numbers in solidarity with our brothers and sisters from Mount Kenya, especially the Kikuyu nation, in the wake of an attempt from the government of the day to segregate them, or rather to isolate them. There is this attempt of 42 against 1. And when you look at what is happening, they are what I may call trumped up charges. And Kenyans are now giving themselves names. Mwingine anasema mimi naitwa Kalonzo Kariuki. Mwingine anasema yeye anaitwa Otieno Njoroge. Mwingine pale unasikia anasema anaitwa Ondieki Kiduthia. I don't know. I'm still looking at acquiring a Kikuyu name. I just don't know their meanings. I wish I knew, because I just want to acquire a name that I understand its meaning. But I like the fact that Kenyans have decided that they are not going to get into this myopic war where someone wants to isolate other Kenyans as if this is not their home. Now, the broad-based partners have decided to support William Ruto in his quest to isolate a certain part of this country. But one person has decided that he will act independently and in accordance with the law, and he will only listen to the people who elected him, and that is none other than Edwin Sifuna. And the ODM party will soon realize that instead of isolating Mount Kenya, ODM and William Ruto and his allies will be isolated instead. I'm saying this because there is this assumption that they have that, all Luos are in government and that all Luos hate Kikuyus. And as they propagate this at the highest level with leaders who live in Karen, there are Luos who understand that hapa chini we interact very freely with our fellow Kenyans from other parts of the country, not only Kikuyu, but all the corners of the country. Someone was asking me, if you fall down, if you faint today, who will be your immediate assistant? Who will be that good Samaritan? Is it Raila Odinga? Is he Uhuru Kenyatta? Is he Mudavadi Wetangula? Will Joho be there? Will Gachagua be there? And he was just telling me that hapa lazima tukae tukijua kuna kabila mawili, the haves and the have-nots. So ladies and gentlemen, ODM is actually breaking into pieces and they cannot see it. I want to show you this video, and I think Raila Odinga is really disturbed. A young man confronting Gladys Wanga in front of Ban Ki-moon, the former Secretary General, and is telling the meeting there that we lost a young man, but we were ignored. Then Sifuna also comes in and he has joined the Wamunyoro group. We are now cousins, and Kuzo Sifuna is saying that William Ruto is the most existential threat to our generation, and he should go. In other words, he's saying Ruto, One-Tam and Ruto must go as soon as possible. Kindly, let's begin by listening to this young man, then we go to Sifuna.
Your Excellency Ban Ki-moon, I want to tell you that the governor sitting here, the governor of Homa Bay, one of the people come from Homa Bay. He's dead right now. I'm sorry to say that. May his soul continue resting in peace. His name is Albert Ojwang. Albert Ojwang was killed in police custody. The only thing our lovely governor did was to issue a statement only. That's the only thing she did. As I finish, I want to say this. I'm finishing, Your Excellency, yes. Professor Vakyogen, I'm finishing. Because, we are saying that we want the youth to have a voice, but I'm about to be silenced, So anyway, as I finish, I want to say that I want to comment on enabling environment for youth adaptation. For youth adaptation to be there, we need to have an enabling environment. We need to have structures, we need to have policies, we need to have mechanisms that will ensure this youth for adaptation that you're talking about is actually taking place. And it's not only on papers. With that short remarks, I have a lot to say, but with those short remarks and for the respect of the event, allow me to sit down. Thank you so much.
Very well spoken indeed.
Immediately, that young boy reported Wanga and exposed her. I think that is the master of ceremony who rose up. Kama wangekuwa na hiyo uwezo wangemnyang'anya microphone. That kind of audacity is what Kenyans have, and they don't fear confronting our leaders. Now, I want you to listen to Edwin Sifuna, who was saying, I'm not going to lick any boots. And he was injecting. I want you to see and listen at the amount of interruption that he was getting because he was injecting. It was very excruciating for the members of the chorus, you know, wale ambao wa yes sir, to hear Sifuna inject. Kindly listen to him.
We are not discussing personalities, we are discussing our money. The Senator for Narok, Honorable Speaker, came from a time when he was hosting the president in his county. So he came back and told us, oh, we have been given an airport in Narok, the contractors are there day and night. So one time I had been given a lift by a friend of mine, we were coming from somewhere in Western. I said, I want to see this airstrip in Narok that has a contractor day and night. So I asked the pilot to fly over that space. Honorable Speaker, there is a plaque sitting there. There are no contractors there. That young man called Morara has gone around the whole country, has shown us. Even when you go to the so-called stadium in Wote, if you go to Camarine Stadium, you will find those plaques there. Honorable Speaker, we cannot have these gatekeepers of the executive in the legislature. You do your job, let him do his job. So, Honorable Speaker, when he was going, Honorable Speaker, can you protect me from this heck club?
Senator Chegre, you order, kindly.
No. Honorable Speaker, do you know?
Points of order are not making sense now.
Honorable Speaker, there is...
Senator Chalagay, can you allow...
You know, when you are used to using matatus, have you ever been a chopper? You can see.
No.
Honorable Speaker, protect me from
Senator
this.
Chalagay. Senator Chalagay, I'm giving you the first warning this afternoon. I'm giving you the first warning. No point of order.
Honorable Speaker, please.
Let Senator Sifuna be in silence.
Thank you.
To conclude his...
Honorable Speaker, so the point that I was making, Honorable Speaker, is that those plaques with names of either projects that have been started or concluded should bear the same sign that I told you about, the Road Maintenance Levy Fund. It should say, your taxes have built this stadium in Wote. Your taxes have built this stadium in Camarine, which doesn't exist, by the way. Honorable Speaker, let me conclude by commenting on something he said. And I was very quiet when he spoke, so I hope he will be quiet too. Honorable Speaker, as a responsible government, you cannot tell us to wait for you to face you in 2027, and you are killing us today. Albert Ojwang is in the ground. He will not be able to meet William Ruto in 2027. So if we stopped, all of us, if all of us agreed, all of us should agree.
Senator
all of us
Sifuna,
should agree.
Senator
Honorable
Sifuna,
Speaker, please don't stop me.
You are now contravening standing on the 121.
Now the Speaker himself is interrupting me.
Standing on the 121. I gave a ruling, I gave you guidance. You know you cannot do elections in the Senate. We don't do elections in the Senate. So avoid mentioning names of state officers. I warned you. I cautioned you. That is the first caution again, understanding on the 121.
Very well, Honorable Speaker.
And you know the consequences.
Very well, Honorable Speaker. Very well, Honorable Speaker. What I'm saying is this. All of us must agree that if decisions are being made democratically at an election, can we guarantee that all of us get to that election? Because you can't tell me to wait for you at the ballot and then you make sure I don't get there. Is Albert Ojwang supposed to vote from the grave? There's no such polling station. So when you talk about a state officer standing up and saying you can shoot people, as if people don't die from gunshot wounds, Honorable Speaker, we saw Rex Masai, the young man who was killed during the protest, was shot in the leg. So how can you tell people to shoot people in the leg as if those injuries are sustainable injuries? So, Honorable Speaker, we want to make it very clear that as a country, we have totally lost our way. And we will not have a conversation with someone telling us to wait for 2027 when he's not giving us a chance to get to 2027. He has become an existential threat for this country, and he must go as soon as possible. I thank you.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, Kenyans have become wiser than what the politicians think. And I remember sometimes Ndindi Nyoro was asking, how do these leaders take us for? That Murkomen visits the supermarket and he has found over 50 identification cards. And then the question is, these days goons and looters walk around with their IDs and then they leave them behind to be traced. These people think that we can always be hoodwinked. And they think that we're going to follow them wherever they go. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, for the majority of Kenyans, we interact, we intermarry, we go to church together, we go to school together. And we don't care what our leaders say because we want a united Kenya. And we don't want to live in the past. All we want is, if there are certain groups that hated one community, this is the moment to learn from it. And we're not going to get into Kasongo's trap, because Kasongo is now, playing around with the perceived enmity between the Kikuyu and the Luo community. Akiwa na Wakikuyu, anakaa hapo kitako kabisa, anajua kuna wengine wanaumia pale. Then anaruka pale akona Wajaluo, hao wengine wanaumia. I think it is high time that we end once and for all this kind of enmity and show leaders that we are only going to that our only enemy will be a government that does not listen to us, a government that is discriminatory in its appointment of state officers or the way they deliver the national cake. Now, back to Edwin Sifuna. Edwin is saying something that is very important. That Ruto is telling us that he orders the police to shoot people's legs. And there are two questions that emerge. Number one, when you shoot a person in the leg, they can overbleed and this can lead to death. I also read what Nelson Harvey was saying in his Twitter handle. I analyzed that video, that when you shoot someone in the leg, in the feet or in the limbs, they will be amputated. Even Rex Masai, as Sifuna says there, was just shot in the leg and is normal. This kind of reckless statements must stop, because if you dig deep and you scrutinize them, there is a choreographed plan to make this sound and look like it is only Mount Kenya or Kikuyu youths who are looting, so that many of them are charged and finally their leaders are arrested. And I know the vector points to Rigathi Gachagua. Number two, Edwin Sifuna is asking, William Ruto is telling us to wait for him for 2027. This was also another plan, to seek sympathy. That the Kikuyu community never gave hard time to Uhuru or Kibaki. Now that there is a Kalenjin in power, they want him out before his time. That is why Rigathi said, no. No one is interested in toppling your government. All we want is to humiliate you in the ballot. But Sifuna is asking, how do we wait for you in 2027 when you don't even allow us to reach there? People are being killed, maimed, kidnapped. So who will be there in 2027 when all of us are being, persecuted? That is the question. We need leaders who will interrogate. Sio wale ambao Raila akisema huku wanaenda, Ruto akisema huku wanaenda, Gachagua akisema huku wanaenda, Kalonzo akisema, we don't. There's a reason why we elect people went to school. And even if they didn't go to school, We want people who have got wisdom. Wisdom, by the way, is from God. It is not an intellectual acquisition from school. It is given from God. So people who are wise enough to interrogate what motivates leaders to order us in certain ways. So even Sifuna has broken ranks. If you listen to people like Opondo Kaluma, Samuel Atandi, Robert Alai, they have a position that since Rigathi Gachagua had declared that, you know, they were in government and those who didn't vote for the UDA government was not wanted anywhere closer to that power, it is their time to revenge. Let me tell you, revenge does not help us. And I know you are asking, Fred, then what do we do in the wake of the reality that these people never wanted us and now the time has turned around? Let me tell you, the answer is very simple. Let us forgive. Let us learn from our mistakes. And I believe even Waminyora himself is slowly learning, because there was a time he said, mimi nilipokuwa naendelea na, when I said, you know, Raila, Mbaya, it was Ruto who told me. So whether Ruto told him or not, all we know is that we are learning. Learning starts from the day you are in your mother's womb, the day you are conceived, till the day you die. I have a position that I've held that we need to learn. Enmity, revenge, division along tribal lines will not help us. Edwin Sifuna is independent-minded. And I know Edwin Sifuna will be voted in by all tribes in Nairobi. If he decides to go for the Senate, let me tell you, even if he goes as an independent candidate with ODM or any other party, people will vote him in. But I don't see Sifuna, you know, contesting on an ODM ticket, because there is a 10-point agenda that Sifuna has reported that Raila told him, just look at them. The remuneration from the national government to the county government, if that is not going to be done, X. The other day, Mbadi said that they have given the county their money. Abductions, if it is not going to stop, X. Abductions are still going on. The cost of living and all these other things. By the time, because Sifuna has made it very clear that he's not supporting Ruto. And I know towards 2026, ODM will have its AGM meeting and they will declare that they are supporting William Ruto, most likely. That is when Sifuna will have to quit, because he said it himself that he cannot reconcile his conscience to support William Ruto. So Sifuna will either contest on an independent ticket or DAP. Something tells me, because at least that is a chama that is a party that they resonate with. For Raila Bondo Odinga, he has consistently said ya kwamba, he always speaks in Luo, that we know where we are headed. For now we are in government, but we will show you direction. I don't see any direction except that they are going to support William Samoei Ruto. Kasongo must be stopped, and this kind of recklessness where we want to speak giving an order of shoot to kill. You cannot tell a police officer to shoot the leg. That is a coded message to them that you need to clear these people. And I like what Sifuna is doing. I like what Kenyans are doing. Just the same way Kenyans stood by the people of Kisumu and they were being retrieved from their houses and they were being killed. Kenyans are now standing with the people of Mount Kenya. You know, there is this mentality that there is only one tribe in this country. You ask someone, kwa nini una support Ruto? Kwa sababu unajua watu wa Mount Kenya wako wanatutaka. This is about 42 tribes. This is about millions of Kenyans. And Ruto has formed this penchant of playing around with these tribes. And ako huku, na najua ako safe ako huku. We need to finish that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know where Raila is really disturbed. And Sifuna does not care. He will soon jump on the ship. Kenyans will love you or hate you based on what you are doing at present, not your past. Yes, your past might haunt you, but what you're doing at present. For example, They now say Raila ni msaliti. Well, Raila has really done a lot to this country, but his present situation is that ameacha watu, ameacha Gen Z, ameruka kwa Munyoro. Ameruka kwa Kasongo. Then Kasongo was this bad guy who used to talk a lot about, hey, hatutakubali maandamano, usicheze na polisi, akiwa na bunduki atakufanya nini. But now Wamunyoro comes back and says, I was Saul and I'm now Paul. I have seen the light. And we love him for that. We are not going to say that wewe ulikuwa mbaya. Yani, in politics, hakuna permanent enemies or permanent friends. And so, ladies and gentlemen, those who are quiet when there is a shoot to kill order, let me tell you, it will go round and you'll find yourself in the same situation. Let us rise up, stand together as cousins. By the way, cousins are those who have resolved that they want a new Kenya. They don't want this status quo. Things must change. Which part are you? Are you part of the cousin or are on the other side? Can you share that in the comment section?